you work with your group. Alam na ba nasan ko ba sa inyo yung yung list ng yung class list? Sino nga bang ating class rep? Si Crystal. Karil pala, Karil. Nabigay ko ba sa iyo yung class list?
Hindi pa po, sir.
Okay, so I'll provide it to you. Tapos or kahit upload ko doon sa Google Classroom natin so that you know sino yung magkaka-group. Let me just put it in kahit mamaya na lang pala to. Sige. Okay, so bago tayo matapos, palala mo sa akin, Karil, ha? Bago mag-3 para mabigay ko sa iyo. Do sa assignment, if you have seen the assignment, it's easy kasi siya ay it will not require numerical methods yet. So, yun naman kasi is gagawin nyo din at the long run kasi nga before you can move to your final project, it's a requirement. Sige. So, let's proceed to the lecture. For this afternoon's lecture, we will be focusing on the continuation of the errors as well as Taylor series, and then after that, we will move to finding solutions using numerical methods na. No? So let me start with if you still remember the Maclaurin series before that we have used to estimate, if you can still remember yung estimation natin ng E of X, that is using Maclaurin series, so that is 1 plus x plus x squared over 2 factorial plus x cubed over 3 factorial and so on. This is a derivation of another series, what we call the Taylor series. So tingnan natin ano ba yung Taylor series at bakit siya important dun sa ating magiging discussion about the errors. So remember the truncation error wherein we just drop the values or the number of digits, let's say in a certain value, let's say pi. So the truncation error, by dropping a set of or the number of decimal places, let's say, nagkakaroon ng truncation error. But there's another definition for truncation error that is happening when we discuss about series. So imagine going back to the series. Let's say you stop at the 4th term do sa series. Hindi mo na sinama yung existing, yung succeeding terms, let's say into the 4th at up to, let's say, infinity. So you have performed truncation. In this term, in the sense, naging 4 yung terms mo to estimate the value of E of X, nagkaroon ka ng truncation. Based on the definition that we had before, let's say yung isang value, let's say 6.3335 and so on. Let's say truncation error can be something like you cut it here, so that's a truncation error. Now, aside from the truncation, we can also perform truncation errors by decreasing the number of terms dun sa isang series. So we have determined before na when we're doing any approximation, we are introducing error already dun sa solution natin. This happens when tanda nyo ba itong term na to? when we perform the Euler or Euler's method for solving um, the parachuter's velocity the last example. Um, so any approximation that happens introduce error. But aside from that approximation, um, if if you remove the terms or the number of terms uh, in a series to estimate, let's say, your approximations or you do approximations, nagkakaroon pa rin tayo ng truncation error. Ano? So, nagdodoble ngayon yung error natin. Una, nagka-error ka dahil do sa method na ginawa mo, which is yung approximations ngayon. Pangalawa, nag-truncate ka pa nung accuracy ng iyong estimate because you decrease the number of terms you used for in terms of the series you used for estimating that function. So let me just proceed to sa Taylor series to have a much much concrete example, ano. So yung Taylor series is a method that is used for approximating any mathematical function, no, or any mathematical equation, no. So the problem with Taylor series, it is because it is inclusive of derivatives. So before you can perform any Taylor series or any estimation using a Taylor series, there's a binating analytical solution pa rin. There's a requirement. You have to solve the derivatives first. So Taylor series, although siya is approximation, it's not a full numerical method, because you still perform analytical solution by computing the derivative. So let us show that. So this is the general expression for the Taylor series or Taylor's theorem. Here, we assume that, let's say, this is your function, okay? And currently, the available value or available information to you is only the xi, okay? So if this is x, and of course, this one is your function f of x. If the available information only is xi, and you want to estimate what would be the value of this function at an increment xi plus 1. So let's say you define that increment already, the interval, as this one. Okay, so this is the interval h from xi to xi plus 1, and you want to find specifically the value of f of xi plus 1. Okay, tandaan ha, ang sinosolve natin ay itong value ito, ang ini-estimate natin, this will be our true value. We want to estimate that. Kaso ang available lang nating information sa ngayon ay yung f of xi at saka yung xi. So ito lang available na information. So how do you estimate this one? So by using Taylor's theorem, we can estimate f of xi plus 1, so ito yun, using the information that we only have. So ito, at saka ito, at saka ito. Yan. Yan tatlong yan lang yung information na meron tayo. Okay? So the idea is, for the zeroth order or zeroth term, or the first term, let's say first term, equals si f of xi with f of xi plus 1. So we assume that they're equal. Kung di natin isasama tong term na to, ang first assumption natin or the least accurate estimate is they're the same. Pinakasimple yun. Ngayon, hindi naman ganun yung nangyayari. Sorry. Kasi na yung very sure. Okay. So, hindi naman yan nangyayari dahil ang kailangan natin ngayon ay ma-identify natin um, yung f of xi. So, we have to solve it by estimating the direction of the function. Tandaan nyo na ang first derivative of, let's say, a quadratic function, or let's say a line na lang, a line, the first derivative of a line is the slope, right? So the slope shows the direction of the point or the next values of the function. So let's say, balikan natin ito. So yung xi natin dito, and this is xi plus 1, we want to find the derivative. If you find the derivative at this point, no, that is equivalent to the slope of this line, tangent to this point. So hindi lang ako exact mag-drawing, but it should be tangent to this point, di ba? So ito yung purpose nun. If this function or the first derivative of f of x, okay, is represented by the function, so or by the slope, it means that it is defined as the change in y, or the change in f of x versus the change in x at that moment, no? Kung mapapansin nyo, kung susulat natin to, let's say this is the change of f of x and change in x. Tapos minultiply mo siya ng h. Okay? Suppose that this delta x or this change extend hanggang umabot ng xi plus 1. So, o yung h. So magka-cancel to. If delta x is equal to h, cancel na yan. So, yung value natin dito would be a small perturbation or a small change in y na idadagdag natin kay original, doon sa first estimate natin, which is f of x, or dadagdag natin siya doon sa initial value ng ating function, which is f of xy. So, yun yung idea. Kung yung derivative na yon ay extend mo hanggang doon sa interval, you can estimate the value of this, or the value of f of xi I plus 1 using that line. So, ito yun. Ito yung, sorry. I don't know if you can see, but hindi kasi yun. Pwede pala siya. Okay. So, ang ini-estimate natin ay this part here. Ano? Yung value ng f of x I, or value ng function, pero since estimate lang ito, value dun sa line, hindi dun sa mismong function. Okay? I hope na you're getting that. Okay? And the next thing is that we can estimate this term, yung addition to this term, using another derivative, which is the second derivative or the first derivative of this term here. So ano ba ang first derivative ng f of xi h? So first derivative niyan ay double derivative, di ba? Nung of f of x. So double derivative nito, and you have h squared over 2. Tama? So that would be this term. So nangyayari dito, if we extend our approximation, what will happen is that we are also extending our the number of derivatives. Hanggang sa dumating siya sa point na, well, we cannot do derivatives anymore because it's the order is too high, no, for the differentiation. So after that, lagi pa rin naman tayong merong error. So after that, we initiate a value called a remainder. So Rn. That the remainder term is just to take into account the value of the function from n plus 1 to infinity because we cannot actually compute this numerically. So we assume that there's a remainder, and that remainder can be defined by the n plus 1 derivative of the function at eta. So nasaan yung eta na yun? Let me just erase it. If you will um if you will draw, no, yung kung nasaan yung eta, let's say this is in between the term xi plus xi plus 1. So any eta is, so the most common eta or ito yung symbol na to na ginagamit natin is midpoint nung dalawa. So the midpoint is just the 0.5, okay, difference nitong dalawang ito. Itong xi at saka xi plus 1. So take note, doon sa drawing natin kanina, ang estimate natin ay yung derivative nung o yung line na yun. Okay? Now, the remainder is not on any of this. Hindi sa xi, hindi din sa xi plus 1. In between. Take note, pag naging interval tayo, wala tayong values na kinukuha in between. So we are not evaluating our function at values in between. So our evaluation, if you will see, xi plus 1 yan, xi, and so on. Lahat yun is nandito sa dalawang ito lang. Wala tayong evaluation ginagawa in the middle because that is an interval. There's nothing in between those two values, or we accept that there's the error in between those values can be represented na lang nitong remainder. Okay? I hope that is clear. So paano natin implement ang Taylor's theorem? So meron ditong example siguro. Yan. Okay. So in this example, we have the zero order prediction. It means that you are using only the first term. So sa first term, sabi natin, the f of xi will be equal to f of xi plus 1. So yan yung initial na assumption natin. So in this case, ito kasi yun eh. This is our initial estimate. I hope you can imagine that this one is an estimate and this is only the term that we know. So hindi pa natin alam kung ano talaga yung value ng fxi plus 1. So the best thing siguro is, let me give you an example. So this is the function. So isa-isahin natin as a function. Although you can solve for the value of x, will make this 0. By the way, when you say finding the value of, let's say, this function, that will be anong value ng what will be the value of this if you replace it with the initial value. So that will be your initial value ng function. Now, what we're gonna do is to predict the function's value at xi. So hindi given sa atin kung ano yung value ng function at xi, but we want to predict it. Madali lang dito sa example dahil kaya nyong isolve yan by replacing the value of 1 here. So that would be the value of f of x at wait lang. Okay, so the value the value of x f of x at xi plus 1 is equal to 1 is an estimate only, an estimate. So ano ibig sabihin nun? We will not perform analytical solution. So if you're not gonna perform any analytical solution, then paano mo estimate yung value na yon? Yung value ng f of x when when xi plus 1 is equal to 1. So, sige. Doon tayo sa Taylor series. No? So, sa Taylor series, ang una nating estimate is, since hindi natin alam yung value nito, ang estimate natin is equal lang siya sa f of x I, which is f of 0. Kasi ang xi natin ay 0. So, replace everything. So, 0 na to, 0 na to, 0 na to, 0 na to. Then you'll have 1.2 as your estimate. No? So, mula dun sa alam natin na value, let's say this is the exact solution. Dito, we're just given an exact solution kasi madali lang namang isolve yung function. Pero take note, on real scenarios, these are not available. So the exact solution is not available. No? So you just want an approximation. So the first approximate that we have, the zeroth order approximate, has a value of 1.2. So our error, true error, is negative 1.0. It means that we are far from the true value by a factor of, let's say, or by a range of 1.0. No? Okay, now if we add another term, so mapapansin nyo, nagdagdag tayo ng term, this would be now our first order approximation. So sa first order approximation, nagdagdag ka na ng additional term to estimate. So take note, this is the change in y, if you still remember, the very small change in f of xi, you know? Or you can say that it's a very small change to estimate the value of this. No? Dadagdag mo lang yon dun sa initial value. So, how do we do that? Meron tayong requirement. Take note, kailangan natin ng first derivative. We have the function and we have to get the first derivative of this function. So the first derivative niyan is going on. So this one. Ito yon, yung function natin. So ang first derivative ng function natin is so 4 times negative 0.1, so that is 0.4. 3 times negative 0.15, that is 0.45. And 1, negative 1. And then 0.25. So this is our first derivative. Mali lang dito. It should be first derivative. Okay? And then we now evaluate our first derivative by xi. So ang xi natin is 0. So changing all of the x here to 0, that will yield or to result to just negative 25, negative 0.25. So our function, this term here, will now be 0.25. So therefore, if we follow the Taylor series, so that will be 1.2 f of xi plus this is the first derivative at xi equals to 0, or f of 0, and then the interval. So our interval here is from 0 up to 1. So we have h equals to I. Note of that, yung interval natin is xi plus 1 minus xi. So that is just 1. So 1.2 minus 0.25, you get 0.95. So this is our next estimate, the first order approximation. So it's much closer now to our target value or our exact value. Kasi yung error mo, 0.75 na lang. Yung error mo kanina, negative 1. Ngayon, 0.75 na lang. So what happens if we compute this, let's say, second term? Ano? So, magsa-second term tayo, although may copy na kayo lahat niyan. Let's try to solve it here. So, ang una mong gagawin is to find the second derivative nung function, that is second derivative ng function, that would be f. What happened? What is it? Problema. Anyway, so okay, so let me just move out of this. Can you see the whiteboard? No?
No po, sir.
Sige, baguhin natin yung sharing. Magwa-whiteboard ako. Let me share the whole window na entire screen. Balikan ko lang. So, may copy naman kayo dyan. Ano? So, meron tayong, ako pala yung walang copy. Wait lang, may problem. Ating function ay so 0 point so we have here our f of x equal to negative 0.1 x to the fourth plus minus ulit. Ano yun? Seryoso. Minus 0.15. Is that 0.5? Sana may nagkikita na lang. And then plus 1.2. 1.2. Okay. So yung first derivative natin is 0.4 x cubed minus 0.15. Let's more up 45 x squared minus x is 0.25. So the second derivative now is 1.2 x squared minus 0.9 x minus 1. Okay? So sabi natin, sa Taylor series natin, sa approximation natin, f of x ay ang f of x I plus 1, if you will estimate that, that is equal to the original function or the function at initial value xi plus the first derivative of this function times h over 1. Sorry ko lang. Over 1 plus is a second term, second order. So we have double derivative of x h squared over 2. Okay. So to do that, to find the value of f of xi plus 1 using the second order, we now need the second derivative. So we just replace xi here with 0. So that would be our f of xi plus 1 is equal to, ano nga yung initial value natin dito kanina? That is 1.2 plus or minus 0.95. Ano pa yung 0.95 yung isa natin. Okay. 0.95 times h natin is 1 plus the second derivative ngayon, if you zero out all the x here, so that would be negative 1. So negative 1 times 1 squared over 2 factorial. So your new approximate would be 1.2 minus 0.95 minus 0.5. So ang sagot natin doon, you'll get the next one would be next is 0.45 na. Okay? So, kung mapapansin nyo, ang error natin, lumiliit na. Ano? For the third approximation, you use the third derivative. So, saan mo kunin yung third derivative niya? So, use the third derivative naman. So, mag-add ka lang ng additional term. So, some say add, you have just to put it here, plus the third derivative xi h cubed over 3 factorial. So, ito ang solution dyan. You get the third derivative nito, itong part na to. First derivative na rin, that would be, our third derivative is equal to 2.4, negative 2.4 x minus 0.9. Okay, so use this to replace here. Gawin mo lang 0 yung value nitong x, that will be negative 0.9 times h cubed, that is 1 cubed. So negative 0.9 divided by 3 factorial. So divided by 6. So 0.9 divided by 6. Ito yun. So we have now, the final value is 0.3. So habang lumalapit ka, o dinadamihan mo yung iyong estimate, or dinadamihan mo yung iyong term sa series, dinagdagan mo pa, mas lumapit ka dun sa estimate. Gawin mo siyang apat, let's say, fourth order or more. No? Sa fourth order, kung mapapansin nyo, nag-exact na siya ng value. So ito yung target na yung true value. We were able to get that at fourth order pa lang. No? So hindi na natin sinama yung remainder. Bakit? Kasi sakto na yung kanyang value at that point. So kung solve natin yung remainder, halimbawa dito lang tayo nag-stop hanggang sa third order, ayaw na natin solve furthermore, then the remainder will, this term here will be similar to this term, right? So that would be f to the fourth, pero yung xi natin nasa gitna, magiging 0.5 divided by h raised to 4 over 4 factorial. So instead of using x is equal to 0 or xi is equal to 0, then we will be using eta as 0.5. So xi will be 0 for, no, not xi, but the eta will be 0.5. So yun yung magiging estimate natin. Ngayon, that will be the value of Rn. No? So, pag sinod natin yun, that includes all the errors kung pinutol na natin agad yung ating estimate at the third term pa lang, third approximation pa lang. Okay? So, again, truncation error is not just the way that we discussed before na nagtanggal ka lang ng, nag-drop ka ng decimal places. you already performed truncation error. Now, in more specific term, truncation error can also be implemented in series or in approximation. So here, kung pinutol na natin agad siya dito sa third order pa lang, ang derivative, then we already truncated, or this error here, or this term here, is the truncation error. So yan yung truncation error natin. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay. So this represents the approximations. You know, so as you see, as we go or make our approximation on higher order, we increase the number of terms. So dito, yung zeroth order, walang additional terms. Okay? We just assume that the final term, or the value of this function at xi plus 1 is equivalent to its initial value at f of xi. Dagdagan natin ng term, gusto natin taasan ng accuracy ng ating approximation, then we add the first derivative. And that first derivative actually just compute for the slope of that line, and the increase on that line would be, that would be the change in your value of y, or yung fxi. In this case, as you see, at the fourth order, na-reach na natin yung true value. There's a reason for that. Kung mapapansin nyo yung ating polynomial, the polynomial is basically at order 4. So, given that it is order 4, the true value, or the closest value, can be determined when we approximate it at the fourth order also. Ano? Okay. Set up. Any question? Yeah. Okay. So, halimbawa, binigay sa inyo is sinusoids. What will happen if sinusoids, mapapansin nyo, the sinusoids are can take derivatives indefinitely, ano? Kasi nga, or infinitely, kasi nga, first derivative ng cosine is the sine. First derivative ng sine is just cosine. So if you take the nth derivative of sine, let's say if that is odd number, then the nth derivative, let's say n is odd number, the nth derivative of that is just a sine wave also. Ano? Ang cosine naman, kung kunin mo yung nth derivative ng cosine, wherein n is equal to an even number, then you'll get the nth derivative as cosine din, as a term cosine. So, paano mo i-handle yung ganun? So, let's see this example. The problem is we are asked to use Taylor series with the expansion from n equals to 0. This is the order of the Taylor series, order 0 hanggang order 6. And the function that we want to approximate is just this cosine function. Ano? And the value, or the value at which we want to evaluate cosine, is pi over 3. So in that case, we need to find first what will be the, or given na pala, given yung ating initial position, that is pi over 4. And if you will look at the distance between pi over 4 up to pi over 3, this interval here is our h, which is equal to pi over 3 minus yun pala, pi over 4. So that is equal to pi over 12. So the interval is pi over 12. So suppose that we know the true value, no? We know the true value of cosine pi over 3, which is cosine pi over 3 is 0.5. We know that value, that is the true value. We want to find the value of that using pi over 4 instead. No? So, hanapin natin siya using pi over 4. So, this one is at 0th order approximation wherein our estimate is equal to the initial value. So, our initial value is cosine evaluated at pi over 4. So, ito yun. Nandito lang yung ating initial value. And we want to estimate the value of x, or the value of the function at pi over 3. So, using your calculator, pasolve nga ang tama. Sino kang pwede? Sino ba nakikinig pa? May nakikinig pa ka? Mas maganda pag ano eh. Okay. So, ano, tama ba? Cosine pi over 4. That is, ano? So, this one is pi over 2. So, ang pi over 4 nandun eh. Pi over 4. So, what is cosine of that? Ano yung value nito? Diba? So, pi over 4 is equivalent to 45 degrees. So, pi over 4 is equal to square root of 2 over 2. Tama ba? Square root of 2 over 2. That is equal to, dahil ito ay, this is 1, and 45 degrees yan. Then you have, let's say the value is not 1. So you get the value of this as 1 over square root. Right? So, tinanong nga, sa inyong calculator, nakuha nyo ba? Cosine pi over 4.
Same po ng value, sir.
Okay. So, dito sa first estimate natin, ay gano'ng kalaki yung error natin? The error is defined by this term. No? So, ang true error natin, if we know the true value, then the true error is just 0.5 times 3 minus the estimate over the true value. So, kung makapansin nyo, medyo malaki yung error natin, 41%. That because our approximation is 0th order. So, tingnan natin pagka gumamit na tayo ng first order approximation. So, we know that if our function is cosine x, then the first derivative of that would be equal to negative sine x. So, in this case, using the first order, so this is our f of x, I, and this is our first derivative times h. Okay, so replace I with xi with pi over 4, you get this value. So, kung titingnan natin, mas malapit na siya doon sa true value. So, the error is about 4.4% na lang. Sige. For the next term, let's say, dagdagan natin yung accuracy. Magdagdag tayo ng second order. H squared over 2. Okay. So the Kung ang first derivative, ang second order derivative natin, derivative ng negative sign, x, is equal, so, derivative niya is cosine x. Negative cosine x. Okay? So this term here is the second derivative. Then evaluate it, you get the result here. So, masyadong mababa na. Ano? Mababa. So, if we go on, so mapansin nyo, at 6 iterations, sobrang baba na nung ating error. Okay? So, although we can still, or you can still extend hanggang sa 6 or 7 derivatives pa, and you'll get much closer to the exact value. Okay? So, next, let's examine the effect of nonlinearity in our function. So, kung mapapansin nyo kanina, the reason why we were able to adjust because our function is not linear. So, if you will look at the formula for Taylor series, this is very nonlinear. So, that is why we can adjust to come up with a closer solution. So, tingnan natin itong diagram na to. Sabi dito is, we want to estimate the effect of step size and the approximation. So, halimbawa, ang step size mo ay ito lang ang size. Mula dito hanggang dito. So, ang estimate mo ngayon, okay? So, yung estimate mo, mas maliit din ang kanyang movement. Mas maliit ang kanyang movement, mas maliit yung kanyang movement, but mas mataas yung kanyang accuracy if you are using a very small, let's say, a very small step size. Compared to sa very large step size na yung error natin, yung change natin is too much. So, masyadong malaki yung changes natin with respect to the target. So, kung gusto natin na mas find yung ating solution, then we can implement a much smaller interval. Ang challenge lang doon, if you perform smaller intervals, okay, mas matagal ang computation. Mas matagal yung arrival mo dun sa, o convergence mo dun sa function o dun sa value na gusto mo estimate. Now, the benefit naman is, of course, mas exact yung value natin if we will do much smaller interval. So, do sa problem na to, let's say we're asked to find, we're given the function x raised to m, and we want to find the estimate from x1 to 2. So here, if we use the Taylor series at f of x raised to m, the first order Taylor series will yield us with 2 already. And then, nung tinaasa natin yung value on if we go to the next iteration, so our actual value becomes 4, but our estimate is just 3. So what happens here is that nagkaroon tayo ng error, our remainder amounts to, let's say, just 1. Now, if we implement m equals to 3, let's say, mas naging non-linear na siya. Kung mapapansin nyo, ayun m equals to 1, linear pa yun. Nung naging m equals to 2, diba? Quadratic na yan. So, x equals to m, as you increase the value of m, mas nagiging non-linear siya. So, in this case, lumalayo yung approximation natin. As you see, sa first approximation natin, when linear, ano, m equals to 1, wala tayong error, exact value agad nakuha natin. Pero kapag tinaasan natin yung yung non-linearity, naging squared na siya, lumayo tayo ng 1. Nung naging 3 ang ating order o non-linearity, ito yung true value, no? And this is our estimate. We are far from our true value by 4. So lumalaki yung error natin every time na tumataas yung non-linearity. So I want you to take note of that para you can do a mitigation by making the interval much smaller kapag very nonlinear yung iyong system. So no need to discuss more of this because if we just raise our nonlinearity, our error becomes larger and larger. No? Okay, so compression error is decreased by the addition of terms. So take note of that. But we need to have h which is sufficiently small para magkaroon tayo ng good approximation. No? Okay, so let's proceed to another example. This is the example of the step size naman. Yung kanina, example ng nonlinearity in terms of the order, or nonlinearity yung binabago natin. In this case, we will be changing the step size, and let's see if we can increase the accuracy by changing the step size. So from 0.1 up to 1.0. So remember this is the ano nga ba itong series na to? This is the Maclaurin series. Tama. Yung binigay natin last time. So the Maclaurin series is actually a Taylor series, no? Kasi ang first derivative na e raised to x is equivalent lang dito, no? Okay, so let's try. So at f of x equal first derivative, we have and evaluating it with respect to initial value. Our first approximation will always be 1. Yan yung first order approximation natin. Kung mapapansin nyo, excuse me po. Nag-change tayo ng order, no? Okay. Our error or our approximation is still the same. But if we increase the, let's say, or decrease the h, okay, if you decrease the h, so what will happen to your function? So, balikan natin yung original example, this one. So, di ba sa unang expansion natin, let's say f of xi is equal to xi plus 1. The first assumption natin or approximate natin is that is equivalent to xi. Given this function e raised to x, so the value of our approximation is always equal to 1, right? Now, if we use additional terms, let's say f of xi plus first derivative ng xi times h. So it depends on your h now. Take note, ang h natin can be changed from 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so on hanggang 1.0. So imagine changing this function. So e raised to x plus first derivative ng e raised to x will be e raised to x. Okay? Times h, which is 0.1. Okay, so when making our x equals to 0, ano, dahil yung initial value natin, x equals to 0, so this is 1 plus 0.1. Okay? So, kung mapansin nyo, kahit dagdagan mo siya ng, baguhin natin ng h, pag binago natin ng h, this will be 0.1, 1.2, 1 plus 0.3, and so on hanggang 1 plus 1. Diba? That is our first order approximation, pero ang h natin is changing. So this will be equal to 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on. So hanggang 2. Now imagine mo we change the we compute for the third or we add the second order pala. Let's say we add the second order. Sorry. Okay. So sabihin natin na meron kang f of x I plus the first derivative xi times h plus the second derivative f x I h squared over 2 factorial. Now, what you see is that we have ex here plus e raised to x per n times h plus e raised to x per n times 2 times h squared pala, h squared over 2 factorial. Kung mapapansin natin, if we just use the same value, that will be, ang h natin ay still 1, let's say. We have 1 here plus 1 plus 1 times 2 factorial, times squared over 2 factorial, so the 1 over 2. Diba? Now, if we changed our h from 0.1, so mas lumalapit ka dun sa, mas maliit yung value mo. So let's say 1.1 plus 0.1 squared. So that is 0.001 divided by 2. Diba? So the interval actually changes our estimate. Take note, parehas na third order lang yan. So, I mean second order. Diba? Second order term lang yon hanggang second order. Pero, if you change the interval, nagkakaroon ka din ng mas finer na change dun sa value ng iyong estimate. So, that's the effect of your step size. So, be cautious kung ano yung magiging step size na gagamitin natin in your estimates. Possibly kasi yung inyong interval may have may over what do you call this, may increase the error dahil nga masyadong malaki yung iyong interval. Okay? Gaya ng pinakita natin kanina. Okay. So, if we will summarize everything, so kanina, nag-solve tayo ng, let's say, one term lang. Ang interval yung nagbabago. Ano? So, zeroth order ito. So, lahat ng estimate natin is just 1. Dung 2 terms na, kung mapansin nyo, mas mataas ang estimate natin. I mean, mas mataas ang ating h, mas malaki yung ating estimated value. No? So, ito yung effect. So, kung sa true value natin, let's say, this is at h.1, itong true value, kung mapansin nyo, mas malapit siya Okay? Sa mas malapit yung true value natin sa mas maliit na interval. When we increase the interval, let's say ginawa natin 1 yung interval, the error natin, so sobrang laki ng error natin compared sa maliliit na step size. You see? So, mas malaking error nito kaysa dun sa error nitong dalawa. Ano? And so on. So, kapag mas maliit yung ating interval, mas lumiliit din yung ating approximation error. Okay? Pero ang ano doon, ang caveat doon ay syempre, mas madami kang simulation na gagawin kasi mas maliit yung iyong step size. No? Okay. So, any question? These are other examples. I think we can skip that. Any questions? Notation error? Okay. So, wala. If none, we can proceed to the next presentation, which is bracketing method. Okay, so, ganito na lang muna. Before we proceed to that, ang next lecture kasi natin is finding solution. So when you say we have a function, let's say f of x. When we say we're looking for the solution for this function, let's say, meron niyang, it should be an equation. So equate natin siya into 0. You know? This means that we are looking for the roots. Roots of f of x, right? When we say you're looking for the roots of an equation, what does it mean graphically? No, suppose that you have your y and x axis. No, nasaan yung root? Let's say this is your f of x, which is equal to y. Or natin. So let's say, gawin ko na lang ito na f of x. So nasaan yung root niyan? If this function is f of x, can you see the screen? Ano ibig sabihin ng roots ng f of x? Just sa graph na yan, nasaan yung root ng f of x? Sabi natin, that is the roots is the value of x that will make your function equal to 0. So nasaan yan sa graph? Hindi nyo makita kung nasaan yung root sa graph. Ikaw kaya ako. Baka tulog na baka wala naman din eh. Karil, ikaw nga. Baka wala natin eh. Si ano na lang, yung nasagot kanina. Sino lang nasagot kanina? Na lalaki. Sino yung sumasagot sa akin kanina? Si Di Mailik. Wala lang nasagot. Baka yung iba'y tulog. Sige nga, tingnan natin. Karil, nandiyan ka pag.
Andito pa po.
Nandiyan pa. Nasaan kaya din yung hindi ko makita eh. Nasaan kaya din yung roots? Kung itong function na to yung f of x mo, nasaan dyan yung root? Sabi ulitin natin yung definition ng roots. Yung roots daw ay yung value ng x, what will make x, what is the value of x that will make your y equal to 0 or yung f of x mo is equal to 0. Yan. Yan ang definition natin. Anong value ng x? Nasaan kaya dyan sa graph? I'm not asking for the exact value. Tignan muna natin kung nasaan dyan. Sige, baka si Atienza, Arabel. Miss Atienza, nandiyan ka pala.
Yes po.
Ba, yun naman ano. So, nasaan kaya dito?
Sir, ang guess ko po is yung value po ng roots is nandun po sa kung saan po nag-touch and curve sa horizontal axis.
Yon, tama, nag-intersect. Saan nag-intersect ang function sa x-axis? Kasi ang value ng x, thank you Miss mga ulit. Atienza, yeah. So dito sa point na to, f of x is equal to 0. Di ba? So pag tinatanong natin kung ano yung roots ng f of x, ang hinahanap natin, ano yung value ng x na yan that will make this function equal to 0. Tama yun, nasa intersection. So yun yung lesson natin for today. Na, paano ka maghahanap niyan kung paano ka maghahanap niyan numerically. Hindi naman nakikita ng computers ang graph. No, so slideshow. Okay. So malinaw sa inyo yung focus na lecture natin for this part. Hanapin yung roots, no? Ngayon, there are methods. There are several methods to find the roots of an equation. Binigyan natin kanina ay yun yung ating problem, finding the roots. So ito yung mga methods ngayon. Bracketing methods, we have open methods and system of nonlinear equations, and as well as finding roots of polynomials using Euler's method. No, so there are several methods that we will discuss in numerical methods. Pero yung system of nonlinear equations are discussed in linear theory. So ibang mathematics yun. So for this particular lecture, we will be focusing on this first part, yung pink muna, bracketing methods. So balik tayo din sa diagram natin. Bracketing methods, pag sinabing bracketing methods, may bracket, meron kang dalawang values that somewhat yung values na yon will contain yung x, yung solution o yung root. The first bracketing method that we will talk about is what we call the bisection method. Bisection method. So sa bisection method, meron naman sa diagram din. Okay. So these are some roots of the equations. Yeah. So this is the graphical solution. If you want to find the intersection of the solution, that would be the roots is where it crosses the x-axis. Example niyan, if you use the graphical solution, then you just plot the curve nitong function na to. Okay? So, given ka ng value ng c or ng different values ng c, from starting to 0 up to, let's say, 20, what will be the values of your f of c? So, alin ang f of c dito? So, you have to remove this term. Okay? Sorry. So in order to find this function, kailangan mo alamin yung f of c. In this case, we can represent f of c as your velocity. Okay? Velocity as the function of c. Okay? Ano nga yung c? That is our drag coefficient, and we are asked to find the value of c needed to reach the velocity of 40 millisecond, and I mean meter per second, if the mass is equal to 68.1 kilograms times 10 seconds, and we have acceleration is 9.8 milliseconds. So we factor out first everything. So we move it here. No? So, ang magiging f of c natin ay equal to 0. Okay? So, we have to find the value of c that will make f of c, that will make f of c equal to 0. No? So we need to find the value of c that will make our f of c equal to 0. So we can now iterate. So umpisa natin sa, let's say our c is equal to 4, then you'll get your value here. C equals to 8, then you'll get a value here. C equals to 20, you get a value here. So isa-isahin mo siya in order to find the interval. So that's the graphical method. No? In bracketing methods, what we do is we estimate or we guess two values. No? So meron kang lower value at saka upper value ng x, and you expect or you hope that within these two values meron kang roots. Nandun sa dalawang values na yan yung roots. Ang challenge is that sometimes multiple roots ang nasa pagitan ng iyong interval o ng iyong bracket. So we need to find or guess bracket na mag-contain lang ng isang root as much as possible. So how do we do that? So sa bracketing method, the first step is to find or to guess the values of XL and XU. XL stands for lower the value of lower limit for X and the upper limit for X. So yun na yung yung sabihin ng XL at saka XU. Kapag ka ang inyong in-evaluate natin yung function at these two different guesses, okay, sabalikan natin ito. Halimbawa, kung mapapansin nyo, in-evaluate natin yung function ng f of x sa L1 and we get a positive value. No? Tapos, we also have the upper. Dito na lang. Dito na lang drawing. Dito na. Suppose naglagay ako na natin ng kulay. Halimbawa, this is our XL. Tapos, ito yung ating XU. How do we know that there's a root in between? So, kapag in-evaluate natin yung f of x at value ng XL, ng lower limit, and what you get is negative, let's say, negative value, di ba? Negative yung f of x mo dyan. No? Tapos yung iyong f of x at the upper limit ay positive, let's say. Then, yung product niya, yung dalawa, XL, at saka nung XU, ay less than 0. Tama, kasi positive ito, negative itong isa. So kapag ka ganun ang naging product niya, it means that dumaan yung iyong function sa x-axis. Nag-cross siya sa x-axis. So, ibig sabihin, pagka chinek nyo yan, at meron kang root ay in between x upper at saka x lower. Balikan natin ngayon yung dilemma. Paano kayo itong isa? Itong isa, sir, positive to. Tapos positive din yun. Nung sinolve natin yan, ang sagot ay positive pa rin. That's because dalawa yung ating root. Possible kasi yung ating function, yung function natin hindi dumaan dyan. Hindi dumaan yung function sa x. Possible din naman na ilang beses siyang dumaan. No? So, ilang beses siyang dumaan doon sa doon sa x. So, kapag no roots at saka even roots, magkakaroon tayo ng ganitong condition. Possible na magkaroon tayo ng the product of the evaluation is positive. Okay? So, kailangan mo mag-change ng guess until such time na our evaluation should be less than 0. Yung product ng f of xl at saka f of xu should be less than 0. Okay, so sabihin natin, we already have in this particular diagram, our f of xl and f of xu is negative kasi nung minultiply natin yung values niya negative. What's the next step? No, alam natin ngayon na yung xr, yung estimate natin, nag-learn natin yung xr is in between. So the next step is to do division, bisection. So we have xr, you basically divide the interval or the distance into 2. So yung xr natin, we assume that xr is in the middle of the upper and lower limit. No. Kaya siya tinawag na bisection method. So, in this case, we assume na nandun siya sa gitna. Yung dalawa, xr. In our diagram, medyo malapit nga naman. No. So, ang sunod natin gagawin is to evaluate this. How do we evaluate kung alin yung mas malapit dun sa, kung tama ba na yung XR natin is, yung estimate na XR natin is malapit na dun sa ating target. The next thing is to evaluate f of XR. Halimbawa, nung in-evaluate natin ang f of xr, so nung in-evaluate mo, ito yung xr mo, I hope you can see, pero hindi, sige, saan ba ang zoom nito? Yan, halimbawa. So ito na yung xr, pero ito yung ating real root. So ito yung true value nun. So yung bisection natin, we arrive at this point, no? Point here. Point na yan. This point here is your f of xr. Take note, yung xr natin is our estimate, no? And so this is our value xr. So pag in-evaluate natin yung f of xr, mapapansin nyo, siya is nasa positive pa rin. Nasa taas siya ng nasa taas siya ng x-axis. Ito yung ating x-axis, di ba? Ngayon, yung f of xr, ano nga yung f of xl, sa lower limit, ano nga yung expected value natin do? Positive ba o negative yung value niya? F of xl. So, titingnan nyo dito, nasan ba yung f of xl? Sige, ito yun. Ito yung f of xl, di ba? So, ang f of xl mo is negative. Di ba? So, kung ang f of xl mo is negative, so, if you check yung f of xr at saka f of xl, you get less than 0. Tapos pag ang f of xr product with f of xu is also less than 0. So check mo yung alin dyan yung conditions. Ano gagawin mo ngayon? So kapag ang nakuha natin, let's say, so in this case, let's say our f of xr is positive, diba? So positive. If sinabi natin kanina, xr times f of xl is less than 0, your upper boundary will now be xr. It means that you have to replace this by xr. So ito na yung magiging bago mong upper boundary. Bakit po, sir? Kasi alam natin na nandun sa pagitan ng xl at saka ng xr yung ating root. Nandito yung root natin, di ba? So, gagawin nyo lang is i-adjust nyo lang yung xu. So, mapupunta na dito yung xu. Okay? And then, after that, gagawa ko ulit ng bisection. So, balikan natin ito. Okay. So, kita nyo ba na palitan natin yung xu. So, ang xu na natin ngayon ay yung estimate natin, which is xr. Pag gumawa tayo ng bisection yan, ito na yung magiging xr natin sunod. Yan na yung xr natin. Okay. Tingnan natin, alin sa dalawang ito yung true. So, ang xl natin is negative pa rin, pero ang xu natin, dahil siya nga yung dating xr, positive siya. So, ngayon, itong value ng bago nating xr, so ito na yung ating f of xr. Ano yung value niya? Ang value niya is negative. So, ibig sabihin, if I multiply f of xr with f of xl, I'll get positive value. So, wala dito yung root. Wala sa pagitan ng xl at saka ng xr yung root. Nasaan yung root? Nasa xr at saka xu. I-validate natin. Ang f of xu natin ngayon, di ba, ang f of xu is positive, di ba? So, negative times positive is negative. So, ibig sabihin nun, dumaan, ito yun, dumaan ngayon or nasa pagitan ng xr at saka ng xu yung ating true root. Di ba? So, ang gagawin natin ngayon, papalitan ko na si xl. So, hindi na siya yung dati nating xl. Yung ngayong bagong xr, siya na yung gagawin kong xl. Gets nyo ba? So, ano nangyari? Lumalapit ngayon tayo sa true value o yung true root, sa root. So, ito ngayon, itong point na to, ito na yung ating f of xl. Okay, anong sunod na gagawin? Repeat lang yung process. Magkakaroon ulit tayo ng bisection. So, kung i-divide natin yung mula sa xu hanggang xl, nandito ngayon yung ating xr. Anong sunod na gagawin? Evaluate ulit. Hanapin mo ulit si f of xr. Si xr ba is positive, negative? Nasa baba pa siya ng x-axis, so negative pa rin itong xr mo. Di ba? So, kung negative sa xr, pag binultiply mo siya sa negative na xl, negative pa rin kasi ito, positive ang magiging sagot. Ibig sabihin, ang ating value or ating root is nasa pagitan ng xu at saka ng xr. So, ito uli yun. Yan uli. So, it means that we need to replace, we need to replace xl. Papalitan na uli natin ng xl. So, itong xr natin dito, magiging siya na yung bago nating xl. Diba? So, lumalapit ka ngayon dun sa yung xu natin, hindi pa siya, hindi pa siya nag-a-adjust kasi malapit pa rin siya dun sa dun sa solution. So, ito na ngayon yung iyong bagong range, XL tsaka XU. Nandun pa rin yung ating root. Nag-divide ka ngayon ulit. Pupunta na dito yung iyong XR. Okay? Kung mapapansin nyo, mas malapit na siya. No, mas malapit na. So, zoom out natin ulit. Yan. Zoom na pala yun. Okay. So, mas malapit na siya ngayon sa ating root. So, ito yung root natin. So, kung mapapansin nyo, pag in-evaluate natin si XR sa f of XR will be equal to negative pa rin, di ba? Negative pa rin siya, nasa baba pa rin siya ng x-axis. Pero si f of XU natin, f of XU natin is still nasaan? Nasa taas pa rin. So, f of XU is still positive. Di ba? So, it means that our root is in between XR at saka ng XU. Yung luma nating XU. Diba? So, lapit ko lang dito. Diba? So, sunod na gagawin ay papalitan natin aling limit ang papalitan natin. Si XL ba o si XU? Kung mapansin nyo, ang XR natin or yung root natin is nasa pagitan na itong XR na to at saka yung estimate natin at saka yung XU. So it means that we need to replace again XL. So magiging XL na natin ngayon is nasa na? Nandito na ang XL natin ngayon. Okay, so ayoko nang i-zoom pa to, but what you see here, ano nangyari? Nag-umpisa ka dun sa XL na nandito. Diba, nandito yung XL mo. Tapos naging lumipat dito hanggang sa lumapit ka dun sa true value. Ang XU mo naman, nag-start ka dito sa initial guess, pero bumagsak ka dun sa value na yun. So, bisection method, what happens is that you decrease and decrease the range, in such a way na ma-pinpoint mo kung nasaan yung o yung middle ng range na yon, nandun yung root. So yun ang target natin sa bisection. Okay? So I hope it's somewhat clear. No? So this is the algorithm for bisection, but these are some of the special cases. So ito, no roots. Ito naman ay so it passes through, no? Ito, dalawang yung roots. Ito, tatlo yung roots in between. Okay? So, ito mga special cases for different, mapapansin nyo dito, nag-tangent lang yung function dun sa x-axis. So, we consider that as a root also, but still, it's just a tangent line, no? Okay, so, ang number of roots dito ay infinite, no? So, dami kasi siya. Okay, so ganito, pag ganito ang setup, it's possible na ito lang yung makuha natin na root, Okay, so these are special cases. Let's proceed to the bisection methodology, no? Ito naman na-discuss ko na sa inyo kanina, but we will just summarize it, no? The bisection method ensures that there is at least one root in between the lower limit and the upper limit. So yung lower and upper limits are kayong bibigay niya. Okay. So choose step 1, you have to choose XL and XU. And you have to evaluate that the product of the f of XL and f of XU should be negative. Para sure ka na magkaiba yung kanilang values. pag negative sila, then you proceed to your root estimate, which is midpoint lang ng dalawang values na yun. Okay? So in this case, our first root estimate is at this point. No. And then subdivide the interval accordingly and then evaluate. So in-evaluate mo natin itong dalawang ito and then evaluate nila itong dalawang ito. So in this case, the product of these two, pareha silang negative, so magiging positive ang product niyan. Ito, pareha sila, magkaiba sila ng sign, so magiging negative ang product niyan. So it means that nandito sa dalawang ito, yung ating root, which is tuloy naman nga, nandun sa gitna, nasa pagitan. So next thing is to move your XU, no? Or to change your XU into your XR. So kailangan mo i-change yung value ng XU kasi umapansin nyo, yung lumabas dito ay parehas sila na negative. So wala dyan yung root. So since wala naman dyan yung root, so i-move mo na lang. Ang gawin mong bagong upper, tignan nyo dito, ang naging bagong upper is yung XR1. No? Yung XR1, siya naging bagong upper limit. No? So yun din yung ginawa natin kanina. Okay, so how do you stop the bisection method? So you can stop if you have, if you find that approximate error is greater than the true error, or let's say, the less than the tolerance or the designated or specified error, no? So doon ka lang titigil. Ngayon, kung alam mo yung true value, then it depends on you kung gaano kalapit ka doon sa true value na gusto mo o yung error na gusto mo. It depends on the number of significant figures na dinefine sa inyo, as well as the number of maximum iterations na possible, at saka yung criteria natin, which is yung stopping criteria natin, ES. So that's among a value of approximate error. No? So if our approximate error is less than this tolerance value, then we can stop. Okay, so this is an example, same example. Kanina, sinolve natin yung sample na to graphically, now, solve naman natin using bisection method. But I need help kasi magsosolve na ng by calculators. No? So again, we want to define the function f of c is equal to 0. No? Para makuha natin ang root. So the root will define or will provide us with the value of c. No? So yung c, so yun yung x natin kanina. No? Okay. So let's start with, let's try to solve this using your participation. Sige. Tingin tayo dito ng participants. Bigla may nag-alisan na yan. Grabe natin. Saan ba makikita yung mga list ng participants? Dito. Okay. So, mag-start tayo kay Miss Lopez. Aliyah, nandiyan kami sa Aliyah. Pinakamadali ang task mo actually. Kasi ikaw lang bibigay ng limits. Sige nga, Miss Aliyah, anong limits natin? Halimbawa.